So NC State, Rob, they're the seventh double-digit seed to make it to the Final Four, and the previous six did not win a game in the Final Four. They're 0-6 in the semifinal round. What's crazy about this game is that you look at NC State and Purdue, Rob. If you go on Ken Pom right now and he adjusts teams based on his ratings, right? He has Purdue 31 points better than an average team, okay? He has NC State 16 points better than an average team. That means that on a neutral floor, this game should be a 15-point spread. But because of the narrative around NC State and because nobody wants to bet against them, Vegas can hang a line like 9.5, and people are still willing to take NC State. To me, I mean, it's Purdue, like big here, minus 9.5. NC State has been an incredible ride. I bet him 60-1 to make the Final Four. I absolutely love this school. They made me so much money. I bet him money line in just about every game that they've played as dogs. But against Purdue, I think this is where it stops, Rob, because NC State has had some incredible luck here in the tournament with the fact that every team that they play against just does not shoot the ball well. They played Duke. Duke went 5 for 20 from three-point range, and they shot 32% from the field. They played Marquette. Marquette went 4 for 31 from three-point range. Texas Tech went 7 for 31 from three-point range. Do you know the one team against NC State in the tournament that shot pretty decently? That was Oakland, who shot 12 for 35 from three-point range, and that game went to overtime. Purdue's one of the best three-point shooting teams in America. They shoot over 40%. And look at that game against Tennessee. In the first half, Purdue shot 1 for 7 from three-point range. Tennessee shot 7 for 11. Purdue was still up by 2 at halftime. That's how good they are. So I know it's Purdue, and we're all waiting for them to trip up, and this would be like the ultimate Purdue game to do that. And I know NC State's the Cinderella, and they're this team of destiny that nobody wants to bet against. I'm all for team of destinies in March Madness when we get through the round of 64, 32, all that stuff. Once we get to the Final Four, it's a totally different ball game. Ken Barkley, obviously, who's the host of the show, along with Nick Kostos, has a great line. And he says anybody can win 4. It's impossible to win 6. And he's right. And NC State and Bama are proof that anybody can win 4, but Purdue and UConn are the only teams left that can win 6. So to me, the fact that Ken Pom has these teams 15 points apart, Purdue's only 9.5. It's just, Rob, you'll never see stuff like this. UConn is 12 points better than Bama. Look at what UConn's did in this tournament. They're 11.5-point favorites. Yet Purdue is 9.5 against NC State. I mean, to me, this is one of those bets. If I lose and NC State, the magical ride continues, so be it. But it is absolutely Purdue or pass. I feel like one of these dogs are going to keep it close. I don't know which one, but I just feel like one of these dogs will keep it close. And I think it's going to be Bama because I feel like a majority of people are afraid to bet against UConn because what they've been doing. And I feel like a majority of people are afraid to bet against NC State because they feel like the team of destiny. So naturally, I think Purdue's going to be the game that's a blowout, and I think Bama's going to be the game where they're able to keep it close. Talked about this last week, Rob. They played a great non-conference schedule, man. They played Purdue. They played Arizona. They played Creighton. They played all those teams tough. That's why when they went up against UNC, they didn't back down. They went toe-to-toe with the Tar Heels. So they're not going to be scared of UConn. They played this team last year. They know how good they are. They know what they're up against. And I think they're looking forward to the challenge. So see what happens, man. If I had to bet the game, though, I would take Bama plus the points. I'd bet the over, but UConn's team total over 86.5 is the play that I like.
I did too. Like I said, I think this is a race to 100. I'll be honest, I'll probably take the team total over for both and the over in the game as 3 separate bets. Might even parlay all 3 together and just get wild with it, because if there's a guarantee here for me, it's that there's going to be a metric buttload of points between these two teams. Again, I think Alabama wants to make it quick. I think Alabama wants to make it frantic. I think if they have a chance, they know they're going to have to outpace UConn. This is a UConn team that throughout the season did not play with a bunch of pace, and now they're kind of learning that during the run of this tournament. And when a team starts to get away from its identity, that's when they become vulnerable. Now they've looked perfect. I mean, they live a 30-0 run against Illinois. The fact that they've what, every game they've won by double digits so far, and it's not been particularly close in any of them. They look incredible right now. There is no doubt about it. I think Alabama can muddy the waters a little bit, right? I feel like over on the NC State side of things, it's about playing ugly basketball. It's about making it a dirty game. It's about playing unorthodox basketball and throwing stuff at Purdue they haven't seen. For Alabama, to me, it's about playing fast basketball, transition basketball, fast break basketball, up and down the floor basketball. Try to get your big guys some opportunities to generate numbers down low. But I think for both of us, we agree, PJ, on one thing, which is Alabama's got to be making shots from the outside. If they're not making their shots, they're going to be in trouble. They need another night just like they had against Clemson. And if they have that, then they have a chance. But it's been the year of Caitlin Clark this year. And sometimes that team of destiny or player of destiny feel can kind of scare you. I thought LSU was going to be a better team overall, right? Like Caitlin Clark's Caitlin Clark, but not exactly the surrounding talent that LSU rolled out around Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith and the rest of these cats last night. But as soon as Caitlin Clark stepped into and knocked down that three to open up the scoring in this one, it was like, it's kind of hard to think she's going to do anything but find a way to win this game for Iowa. So I ended up last minute deciding to stay away from that game because I know you and I have had the conversation, PJ, about the concept of narrative bets, about betting to a story, because sometimes sports loves to tell stories and sometimes you can take advantage of that. I couldn't decide if I wanted to narrative bet with Caitlin Clark getting her revenge, or if it was going to be one of those times that, hey, sports loves to tell stories and sometimes those stories are cold and cruel and heartless, and Caitlin Clark was going to get bounced by the Tigers again. So I stayed away from it, but I'm 0% surprised that she ended up doing what she did to knock down as many threes as she did to win that game. None surprised at that. It still feels like it's South Carolina's game to lose, but I felt that way about LSU last night, and Caitlin Clark did Caitlin Clark things to finish them off.
Iowa, the number 1 seed, UConn, the number 3 seed, so another 1-3 game. Hawkeyes, 2.5-point favorites, the total 162.5. A little LSU emotional hangover, Rob, a little look ahead to South Carolina at all, potentially. Do you like the Huskies in this spot to keep it close, or are you still riding the Caitlin Clark and Iowa wave?
You introduced me, PJ Glasser, about 3 weeks ago to the concept of a narrative bet, and I have to tell you, it has haunted my nightmares ever since, because to me, the beauty in sports is that it doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care, Cody Rhodes, about your story. It very much cares only about the talent of the players playing it. But man, how do you bet against Caitlin Clark right now? She's the face of the game, not just the women. She's the face of college basketball as a whole, and she is on an absolute mission to reclaim the crown that she believes was stolen from her last year. She just took down Bayou Barbley and Haley Van Lith and Kim Mulkey on the road. And as much as I love Gino, and you're right, he's done a spectacular job, as much as I love Paige Beckers, they ain't Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers. I'm taking the cover for South Carolina. I'm taking the cover for Iowa. And you know what the natty's going to be, fella. It's Dawn versus Caitlin. Let's do this.
Whenever we talk about the Yankees, we always have to talk about injuries. I mean, that's what it is. Like, there's going to be a point in this season where Judge is going to go on the 15-day DL. Stanton, probably the same, already dealing with that with their pitching rotation, with Garrett Cole. Carlos Rodon had to deal with so many injuries last year. So it happens to every MLB team. It especially happens to the Yankees. Has been a great start for them. Obviously, getting off, beating the Astros, a team that has really dominated you for the last 6 or 7 years, was huge. They've carried that momentum into the first game of the series against Arizona. It's going to be interesting this game tonight, right? Nestor Cortez was your opening day starter with Cole going down. You're going up against Gallen, who is so good at home when he pitches for the D-backs. So that'll be a big game for them. I'm not still sold on the Yankees. They certainly look good early. Teams with the talent that the Yankees have, they go through ebbs and flows throughout the season, and they're on a heater right now. But like you said, Rob, the big games are coming when they go up against teams in the AL East. Those Orioles games are certainly going to be wars, and the games against Tampa, the games against the Blue Jays, those kind of games. So early for the Yankees, can't start any better than 5-0. Good sign for them, but their big thing is keeping their core intact and keeping them healthy. Already, Rob, from what we've seen in the first 5 games, like, I mean, do you think like Juan Soto is going to be a Yankee for life? Do you think they're going to give him like a 10-year, 11-year kind of deal?
I mean, why not, right? Like, why not? If he can do this all season long, Aaron Judge is 31 years of age. Aaron Judge does not have 10 more years of baseball in him. His style of ball, I don't think, translates to being a 40-year-old baller. You got to look and you got to find that next great Yankees face. And we saw Juan Soto be the face of the franchise when he was in DC. We saw that. When he went to the Padres, he was supposed to be in the mix as the face of a ball club riddled with all-stars last year, and he couldn't get there. Now, again, it depends on why you think that was the case. I happen to think it was a relatively toxic locker room in San Diego. I think it was a locker room in San Diego where pardon the expression, inmates were running the asylum a little bit. You and I think last week, PJ talked about the fact that the Blue Jays were a team that had all the talent, but it seemed they all hated playing baseball or playing baseball with each other. I think the Padres, to me, felt like a locker room of a bunch of guys who were out there trying to leave individual legacies on the game, but nobody really gave a damn if they won or not. And I think Juan Soto needs structure. I think he needs rigidity. I think he's a young cat who kind of needs to be pointed in the right direction and giving a firm but loving kick in the ass to get him there. And I think New York has done that. And when you look at that, my dude is one of the hottest at the dish in the American League out of the gate. If he does this all season long, if the Yankees are battling neck and neck with the Baltimore Orioles, hell, if they outpace the Orioles and win this division, I think, PJ, if Juan Soto keeps this pace more often than not, I think we can all point to Juan Soto as the puzzle piece that finished it, because it was a team last year that could have been there, but they weren't. If Juan Soto shows up and this team goes out and wins a very good, relatively good AL East division, then I got to think Juan Soto is going to be credited as the missing piece, and he becomes a guy that New York is willing to put one of those $300 million contracts on.